Namaste yogis, welcome to your practice. This is Stephen from YogaWorks, and today we're preparing for lift off. I call this class this way because we're going to try some poses where we are balancing on our hands, mostly some introductory hand balances. I say introductory because they're sort of more foundational, and they're probably the first ones that you'll be able to nail, so to speak, in your practice. And they're also a good stepping stone to build on your repertoire of arm balances. We're going to be doing them first on our back to strengthen our anterior core and get a first feel for the arm balance that we're going to do later. And we're going to be warming up some of the essential parts of the body that need to play a role. And then we're going to have a look at throwing these arm balances into a little sequence to see how we can move in, move out, and don't worry if you can't do the full pose of any of these, because you'll still learn a lot about how to place your hands and how to shift the weight of your body in and out of the pose. Even if your feet don't actually lift off, let this be an afterthought almost. It's nice if they do, and it's also nice if they don't. You'll still get a lot of benefits from this practice. And who knows, you might surprise yourself and actually do lift off. So the title is Prepare for Lift Off. Whether or not you actually lift your feet off, well, let's see, isn't it? We'll lie on our back. Come to rest for a moment. In a moment, we're going to do some quite difficult poses. But for now, just arrive on your mat. Rest your hands, rest your legs, your arms, wherever they are comfortable. And just settle into your body, settle into your breath, and start to feel at home as much as you can. This is really what we're doing with this yoga practice. We're not trying to do some crazy pose. We're trying to become a bit more skillful with our body, with our movements, with our thoughts as well. Sometimes we think we're not fit enough, we're not strong enough, we're not flexible enough. And that's why I like things like arm balances or inversions, because they can really surprise us and show us that, whoa, I had no idea that my body was capable of this. And if you'd show any other person, it would be like, yo, this is not for me. I would never even dream of attempting that. And now close your eyes for a moment and visualize yourself in an arm balance. Whether or not you can actually do it, it doesn't matter too much. Just see yourself balancing on your hands in some pose. And see if you can be calm, collected, skillful, and take a few slower breaths. Just here, imagining yourself in this pose, happy, free, healthy, without any stress. Good. Let's try out some arm balances on our back to warm up the core. For the first one, bring the knees a little bit up, lift the hips a little bit off the mat, and then reach your hands straight up to the sky. Push your hands down on an imaginary floor, and then lift your head and shoulders. So now you're connecting your knees as low down to the shoulder as you can, or as high up on the arm, you could also say. Bring the inside of the feet together. Activate your feet. So even if your feet won't be touching the floor, we still want them active because they send a signal to the rest of the legs all the way to your core that your body is active. You've got control over the extremities. And then release that for a moment. Now just lower down. Let's take a breath. Come back down to the earth, and then we're going to lift off again. One more time, same pose, inside of the feet together, knees wide, hands are stretching up. This is actually crane pose because our elbows are straight. If they were bent, it would be more like a crow. We'll do crow later, maybe crane. Let's see how it goes. But here I would like you to squeeze your knees into the upper arms as close to your shoulders as you can. Squeeze in, and then round your back, lift your shoulders, lift your hips. Try to touch the mat with as little of your body as possible, and you should feel your abdominals really engage here. Nice. And then release that again. Take a breath. Good, now bring the knees together. We're gonna glue the thighs together like you just have one single leg. Move the knees a little bit left. Reach your hands out to the top right, and then connect the outer left elbow or upper arm to that outer right knee. Get a good push here, and then again lift the hips, lift the shoulders, and reach through the arms. This is side crow, again with straight elbows. It's not easy to do on the ground. We're just getting a first feel of it. You'll feel your muscles in your waist here, your obliques, are going to be more active than the first one. And then release it down. Good. Take a breath. Both knees together. Knees a little bit to the right, arms to the left. Reach forward and up, lift the shoulders. Connect the right upper arm to the left outer knee. And then reach and lift up around your back. Squeeze everything together. 3, 2, 1, and set it down. Let everything relax in between. Slow breath in, slow breath out. Well done. Nice. One more time, we'll put those 3 together. Reach up for crow, and then knees together. Arms left, knees right. Arms right, knees left. Back to crow for a moment, and then lower down. When you start to feel your abdominals are starting to wake up, maybe a bit more than wake up, maybe they're shouting at you, like, what is happening? You don't do core work for months, and then now you do this class. Out of all the classes you could have chosen, okay, I got it. Let's do one more. Arm balance on our back. It's called Basana, firefly pose. It's extremely hard when you do it on the floor, at least for me. But we're gonna start like this. Open the legs wide. You can use the hands on the insides of the thighs to roll the inner thighs in and support your legs a bit. And then lift your head and chest off the mat. Try curl the hips up as well. And then reach your hands forward and squeeze the inner thighs onto your arms. I'm sure you've seen this pose. It looks amazing on Instagram, and some people do it, and then the other people, they don't post about it. You've never seen me in Instagram in this pose. All right, let it go. This class is not about Instagram. This is about preparing for lift off, whatever place you're starting from. Good, so that was our Basana. We'll give it a try later. For now, just rock up and come onto hands and knees. Going to be warming up the wrists a bit. Now stack your shoulders over the wrists, and a couple of times keep all 8 fingers down and lift both thumbs and the wrists up and lower down. Lift and lower, lift and lower. Just warming up the muscles in the lower arms, strengthening our wrists, which is a good thing to do before you're going to be spending time on the hands. Good. Last 5, 4, lean forward with your shoulders. 3, 2, and 1. Good. Turn the fingers out to the side and start to circle your shoulders around. So pour weight onto the one hand and then circle around to the other hand. Lean forward and to the sides and then back. The hips are just following the hands. Good. And then change the direction of your circle to the other side. One wrist might feel a bit more sensitive than the other. Just become aware of these subtle differences. And of course, if your wrists are screaming at you, you would have to be a little bit careful and not put too much weight on them too quickly. It's good to gradually build that up and take lots of breaks. It's a bit of a fragile joint. And then reach the fingers back and your wrists forward, and a couple of times sit back and move forward. Sit back, move forward. It's a good one to improve the wrist flexion, which is obviously going to be needed when we do things like arm balances or planks. One more. Good. And then flip the hands around so the backs of the hands are down, the palms are up, your middle fingers are facing each other, and then come up onto your fists and then flip onto the back of the hands and bend your elbows. So do that a few times. Fists, back of hands, little push-up. Straighten the elbows as best you can, then fists, back of hands, push-up. Lift up, fists, back to the hands, push-up. One more time, fists, back of hands, push-up, and release. Good, sit back on your heels and clasp the hands together, just roll the wrists around. Nice. Press your palms away from each other, squeeze the elbows in, lift the arms up. Nice. And then change the crossing of your hands so the other thumb goes on top. Roll in the other direction if you can. Roll, roll, roll. Keep warming up the wrists and then press the palms away. Lift the arms up. Push the sky up with your hands, so to speak. Good. And then slowly release. Good. I want to do one more little warm up for the outer hips. So cross right shin in front of left. Sukhasana. That's the one where we cross our shins down the middle. You're flexing your feet, so you pull the toes up towards your shins, and your knees and the feet are more or less in the same line. Now lengthen the spine, walk a little bit forward, and then just sway side to side when you get to your end point. You might be a bit higher up, a bit lower down, doesn't matter. As soon as you could feel those outer hips, then you're in a good place. Good, and then lift up into boat pose. So suction the knees towards the chest, lengthen the spine, roll the shoulders back. And often, you know, when I watch my own videos, I see my head is actually a bit too far forward. So I've learned just to lean the head slightly back so you get a more of a continuous line from the spine through the head. And then reach your hands forward if you can. If it's too much, just hold the backs of the thighs. If you need more, straighten the legs and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Half boat. Connect your lower back to the mat. Reach through the toes, reach through the hands. Keep the shoulders lifted. Keep everything lifted except that lower back. Nice. And then lean the head a little bit back and make a pillow to rest the head back. That's actually harder. It looks like you're just relaxing, looking at the sky, but internally you're quietly trembling away. Okay, back to the boat. Good. And then left shin in front of right, or whichever leg you haven't done yet. For me, it's the left one forward. Cross down the middle, flex the feet, feet under your knees, long spine. Lean forward until it's enough. Don't get stuck. Shift side to side. Just getting to the sides a bit, and we're warming up those outer hips. Going to be needing them for some of the arm balances later on. Good, and then shift into downward facing dog. Plant your hands, plant the feet. Maybe for this first one, you can always walk the feet a bit further or a bit wider, or make the down dog shorter, which is less weight on the hands. It's all good, just sort of settle in and wiggle around a bit. You might want to straighten one leg at a time to walk the legs out. You can bend the other knee quite a bit and stretch the heel down so you get into the whole back of the leg. Good. And then pause in down dog. If you're ready, straighten both legs at the same time. Let the heels reach down towards the mat, whether you touch or not is irrelevant. And then inhale, shift forward to plank. Now push the mat down with your hands and have a look at the placement of your hands. Do they feel solid and grounded? These are going to be your feet when we prepare for lift off. And lower the knees for a moment. We're going to spend a moment on the hands. So you want your hands about shoulder distance just check that your wrists are under your shoulders. I like the peace sign to face forward to the front of the mat. Some people like to slightly turn out the hands a bit more or a little bit less. Just see what works for you. If your shoulders feel a bit tighter, slightly turn out more, can give you a bit more space. And then connect that circle of your hands. Just sit back on the heels and try this. Connect the palms and all the fingertips. Squeeze them together, even if the knuckles or the fingers in the middle lift off. Don't lose that circle around your palms. Squeeze it together. Push, push, push for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Transfer this to the mat without any changes. Like a gecko. How do you say? Do they have feet? Do they have claws? I don't know. Like those little suction cups, you know what I mean? And then step back into plank with your new gecko feet. Feel that circle of your palm, press all the way around into the mat, and all 10 fingertips press or claw into the mat a little bit, like you're suctioning to the mat. If you turn your mat upside down, you'll be hanging from the ceiling still on your mat. Just imagine, that's a good image. And then keep the gecko hands and push back into down dog. And I'll go forward from plank to down dog a couple of times. And try keep your hands suctioning down like this onto the mat. There's no change. Like your hands are an extra pair of feet. Whether your weight's on your hands or your feet, it should feel as solid almost. Of course, your legs are way more designed to carry your weight, so we won't spend as much time. But it's good to train the hands to become a bit more strong in this way. Nice. Pause in plank. Nice. From here, walk the legs a little bit closer together and lift the right leg up. Try not to lose the shape in the spine. Keep your core active. Keep the hands based. And then lower the right leg down. Ready for lift off. The left leg is lifting. It's just a tiny bit. You should feel left glute, maybe left hamstring. The spine is long and strong. And then lower it down, back to downward facing dog. If ever you need a moment, you can always lower the knees. There's child's pose. You can take breaks whenever you need to. Or if your wrists start to feel a bit sore, feel free to do a couple of wrist stretches or movements at any time. This is more important than pushing yourself beyond what you're comfortable at. Nice, we'll do a little chaturanga tutorial, because if you've noticed, a lot of these arm balances are actually based on chaturanga arms with something fancy on top. We'll get to the fancy, but it's good to start with the basic. We've done the hands. Now let's do the chaturanga. Nice, so now if you go from plank, imagine you're in plank, sit on the knees like me. Reach your hands forward, your wrists are flexed, and you're pushing away. Your upper back is a little bit rounded, so you're not squeezing shoulder blades together. You're doing the opposite with a bit of a rounded upper back, protracted shoulders, protraction in the shoulder blades. Good. And now if you're going up, you're going to be bending the elbows. So bend the elbows, keep them close to your sides, and keep flexing the wrists. And have the chest forward. Nice. And now go back to plank. Now, if you've noticed, when we do this, our hands have moved, which is not possible when we're on the mat. So actually what needs to happen is do this with me. You're pushing your hands forward, and as you bend your elbows, you're lifting the chest up into, this is chaturanga. And now back to plank. As you go down, straighten the elbows. So if you notice, your chest has to come forward and up, way over the level of the hands. Do that again, lift up and sit down. One more time, bend your elbows, lengthen your chest over the hands. This is going to be forward on your mat, just imagine. And then you're going back to plank. All right, I think you're ready for chaturanga. We'll do a bit of a baby version with the knees down, but it's still hard enough, so don't think you're doing an easy pose. Nice, so stack your shoulders over the wrists. Imagine you're in plank. You can walk your knees a tiny bit back. Now keep your core strong. We don't want to be sagging to our midsection. We're keeping this entire tube in the center nice and strong, and lean forward and bend your elbows a little bit and straighten the hands. Remember that movement from when we're kneeling. Let's try it 2 more times. Lean forward with the chest, bend your elbows. You don't have to bend a lot, just a little bit. And then come back up to plank. Just imagine you're in plank with the knees down. And then lean forward with the chest, bend the elbows and push back up. Nice. Downward facing dog. Stretch everything out. Take a breath or 2. Nice. Ready for lift off. Come forward into plank. Now this time, if you want, you can keep your knees up, or if you're like, yo, that was hard enough. I need another year with my knees down. There's no shame in this. Just go for as long as you need to with the knees down. Better get the skill right than rush the timing. Good. Now, when you're ready, lean the shoulders forward, bend your elbows a bit. Chaturanga and push back up. Let's go down dog in between before we do one more round. Inhale to plank. Strengthen the core, strengthen the legs as well if your knees are lifted. Then lean forward with the chest, bend your elbows, and then push the floor to lift back up to plank, downward facing dog, or a moment in child's pose. You'll feel these poses are, they can really challenge you. They can show you, ooh, my arms, my shoulders, my chest are all working really hard, and it's a good way to get out of your head and into your body. Nice. Let's put a couple of things together. I've designed a mini little flow to incorporate some chaturangas into this warm-up. What? Are we still in the warm-up? Oh. Good. Inhale to plank pose. Now lift the right leg a little bit up. We've done this before, but this time we're going to go down into chaturanga. If you need to, lower the left knee first. Nice. All the way down, but keep the right leg lifted. And then lift back up. Step your right foot behind and come into wild thing. This is just a little counter pose, a little feel-good stretch. A little back bend in between all this forward bending. Good, and then go back to down dog. Inhale to plank. Hover the left leg, it doesn't have to be high. And then keep the left leg up. Maybe put the right knee down first if you need help. And then lower down chaturanga. Remember, chest goes way forward, all the way down, but keep the left leg up. Then push the mat, lift back up. Step left foot behind. Reach the left arm up. Such a nice pose. Open the front body. Stretch your abs and the other core muscles. And then come back to down dog. Should we do that one more time now that we got the hang of it? We'll do it a bit more fluently. Inhale to plank. Hover the right leg. Lower down through chaturanga. Push back up. Wild thing. Reach right arm. Lift the hips and the belly. Don't lose your breath. Down dog. Inhale plank. Hover the left leg. Lower with control. Push back up, lots of strength. Left foot behind the right knee. Reach through the top arm. Downward facing dog. Or if you need a little moment in child's pose, I wouldn't think you're crazy. All right. Gather your breath. All right, let's meet top of the mat in mountain pose. We'll be learning how to put a bit of pressure onto the hands to move around the mat with a bit more style. Inhale, lift the arms, reach through the fingers. Exhale, fold forward, hinge from your hips. Inhale, flat back, lengthen the chest, way forward. Now it's a bit different than normal. We're going to plant the hands by bending the knees as much as you need to. Get your gecko hands correct. clawing into the mat or gluing to the mat. Keep this as you walk the feet back to plank. Nice. Inhale in plank. Exhale, lean forward with the chest, lower down. You know you can use your knees. Nice. Inhale, a little back bend, maybe cobra or up dog. Lower back down. Tuck your toes, straighten the knees. Get your core active and push everything up into plank with or without knees. And then downward facing dog. Nice. Remember the hands. Imagine you're about to go in a handstand. How would your hands be placed to do that movement? We're not going to go into handstand, but it's good to imagine. So your hands get more ready. Nice. Now look forward. Push your hands down. We're going to try to keep the elbows straight as we tiptoe forward towards the wrists. Tiptoe. Try to keep the legs straight-ish. Tiptoe. Tiptoe. Keep pushing the hands down until you walked more or less towards the hands. And then inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise, push the feet. Rise all the way up, reach through the fingers. Hands to the heart. Nice. Let's do that again. Inhale. Exhale, fold from the hips. Halfway lift, inhale. Now bend the knees, don't rush. Plant your hands. This time I would like you to lean a little bit more forward to get more weight onto the hands. More weight into the hands, more weight into the hands. Step back to plank. Inhale in plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. You can also go all the way down and then do cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Nice. Look forward, claw the fingers into the mat. Tiptoe forward. Calm, slow. Keep the breath to the front. Nice. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Let's rise you all the way up. And then hands to the heart. Nice. Now, bring the feet together. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, fold. Nice. Inhale, halfway lift. Now it's a bit different. We're going to be bending the knees, squat down onto your heels, and open the knees wide to the side. Nice. Now lean forward with your chest inside the knees. Try to get your shoulder as low and connected to the knees as possible. And then squeeze the knees in. We've done this pose on our back. Remember, this is crow pose or crane if you straighten your arms. But this is the basic setup. So your back is round, your knees are squeezing. Now lift the hips up and place your hands in front of you. Good. Squeeze the knees. Lean forward, lean forward, lean forward with your chest until you feel, oh, the feet are getting a little bit lighter. Maybe you lift one heel to your bum. Maybe if you feel ready, you lift the other heel. Good. Slowly come back down. Step back to plank. Chaturanga, exhale. Cobra, I'm doing cobra. You can also do up dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Nice. Look at the hands. Push them down and tiptoe forward. Take your time, walk to the front. Inhale, flat back. Exhale to fold. Let's rise all the way up. Palms to the heart. Inhale, let's continue. Exhale, fold. Feet together, I forgot. Inhale to plank, not to plank, flat back. And then squat down, nice. Make sure you have enough space behind you because we're gonna try jumping back to chaturanga this time. But let's take it in small little pieces. Open the knees wide, bring the inside of the feet together, just like we've done on our back. Maybe I'll show you from the front in case you want some visual reference. Then I'm leaning my chest forward. I'm trying to get inside the knees as much as I can. And then bring your elbows out in front of the knees. Now hips, lift them a bit and plant the hands. Same hands that we've been learning before. Think of the gecko, lean forward and maybe lift one foot at a time or lift both feet. Nice. Once you've got this, think chest forward, chest forward, chest forward, chest forward, and the legs will shoot back. Here we go. Inhale, upward facing dog. Make your way back to the end of the mat however you can. Downward facing dog. Nice. Now, lower the knees thrown. Why do I say chest forward? Because if there's no counterweight, then you just sort of crash back halfway your mat. You won't have enough balance, or you won't be able to slow it down and make it look remotely graceful. So when the chest goes forward, the legs have something to balance against, and straightening the legs back, that's very easy. The hard part is to lean the chest forward. Nice. Downward facing dog. Good. Lift the right leg high. Bring right knee towards your right elbow, or preferably a little bit higher if you can. Try to touch that upper arm as close to the shoulder as you can. And then lift the right leg back up and lower the right leg down. Nice. Let's do the same thing on the second side. Lift the left leg up. Bring left knee as high as you can to the left upper arm. Connect it and lean forward. Lift the left leg up and lower the left leg down. Nice. Lift the right leg up. Bring right knee outside right shoulder. Connect it there and step your right foot forward. Nice. We're going to do lizard pose for a moment. Let's not put that back leg down. We'll keep it up. So we get more of that lift off feeling that we're after, even if we start by lifting a bit easier body parts, not going to full hand balances. At the same time, we're opening the hips here to prepare for the legs to be more compact into the body. It's a good prep. All right, downward facing dog. Lift the left leg high. Left knee outside left shoulder, squeeze and compact, then step the left foot forward. Stay in this pose for a moment. It's sort of between a lunge and a lizard. You could bend your elbows if you can easily get lower, that's fine. I'm happy to just stay on the hands for now. Good. Step it back. Reach the right leg up. Bring right knee to right upper arm. This time, if you want, hop the back foot a little bit closer and see if you can bend your elbows, lean forward. Maybe the back leg lifts up. Step that right foot forward. Now this time, walk your hands to the left, top left corner of the mat and turn the chest down. Just spend a moment here. Get your breath back. Good. Step back to the center, downward facing dog. Let's lift the left leg up. Bring left knee outside left arm. Hop a little bit closer. Bend your elbows, lean forward. Maybe the right leg lifts up. Maybe not. It's not a walk in the park, I'll tell you that. Now walk your hands to the right. Lizard variation. Really nice hip work and a bit of spinal movement. And a moment of calm and this madness. All right, downward facing dog or child's pose. Now, is it important to do all these arm balance? No, not at all. But the arm balance could represent, you know, your key that breaks off in the lock, your car that breaks down, when it rains into your house and there's no water from the tap and the electricity goes off at the worst moments. It always goes off at the worst moments. And there's a massive traffic jam and you don't have the right stamp in your passport at the border, and whatever life is throwing at you. These are those challenges that we prepare for in our yoga practice. So it's good to embrace the challenge here. This is a safe space. You can fall on your face, hopefully not too hard. You can fail a yoga pose, so to speak, but it's within the safe space of your mat. You can't really fail. You can only grow in your practice. Ready. Let's step from down dog. Let's step the right foot forward. We're going to come into low lunge or twist. So put the back knee down, left elbow over right knee, and then twist to the side. I like to make a fist with that bottom hand. You can do the same if you want, or just the palms together into prayer. Just a moment here to revolve, and then tuck your back toes under if you haven't already. Lift the back knee. Now look down at your front foot. We're going to step forward into twisted chair pose. Nice. Wiggle the feet all the way together if they're not yet. Squeeze your knees into each other, set the hips back. Nice. Now come down into a little squat. Nothing has changed, we're still twisting to the side. Nice. Now here, get the twist as deep as possible. You can even push the thigh to reach the left elbow further over the right knee. When you're ready, plant the hands. Maybe this is it. Just practice planting your hands, organizing your body. The more twist you have, the more leverage you'll have, the knee on the elbow. And if you need an extra kickstand, there's also that right hip that could come on the right elbow. Traditionally, that hip is free, but sometimes just impossible without an extra support. So if that's you, lower that hip on the knee. Nice. Now look in the direction your fingertips are going and lean your chest that way. More, squeeze the legs. Maybe the feet come off. Maybe not today. It's fine. Congratulations in both cases. Downward facing dog. Take a moment. I'm going to turn around so you can see better. Good. Left foot forward, right knee down. We're going to twist over the left leg. Roll the left shoulder open. Calm the breath down. Nice. So we've done crow pose, we've done versions of chaturanga to prepare for the arm balances. Now we're doing a side crow, which incorporates a twist. And then we'll end with the basana or one of the preparations. I'm going to do the preparation. Lift the back knee off if you can. Look down at the front foot. Step the feet together. All the way together, squeeze your knees. And then stay in the twist, but just squat down onto your heels. Maybe this is it. You can stay here. It's a nice little twist. Maybe you deepen the twist by sliding the elbow further. Then place your hands. Choose if you're going to use this left hip, left elbow connection or not. And then squeeze the legs together. Lean forward over the fingertips. Maybe the feet lift. Slowly come down. Congratulations again. We've lifted off, or you nearly lifted off, or you tried something new. It's all good. Take a moment to catch your breath. Slow breath in. Slow breath out. Nice. So come to sit with the legs quite wide, Upavishta Konasana. Slide the legs or the hips a little bit forward by using the hands behind you. And then lift the chest. Nice. And then try this. Put both hands over the left leg. So turn the chest towards your left foot. And we're going to try lift the left leg up and put it down. Not so easy. Turn over the right leg. Try lift the right leg up and put it down. Nice. Going back over the left leg. Now this time, lean a little bit forward, push your hands, maybe lift the hips up and put everything down. Turn your hands over the right leg, lean a little bit forward, maybe straighten the arms, lift the hips up and set them down. Nice. I'll let you choose for the last one. You can just lift one leg or two legs. You can just lift the hips, the feet down, or you can try lift everything up. So we're going over the left leg, push the hands down, and maybe for a moment, hover and put it down. Turn the hands over the right leg, push the hands down, straighten your elbows. It's good to round your upper back a bit. It's going to give you extra strength. Maybe just the hips, maybe the legs as well. And lower down. We don't have to hold this for very long. Nice. Now come into a squat. Malasana. So last pose, last lift off. Take a breath. Now for this one, I'll show you from the side. Place your feet a little bit wider, maybe on the edges of the mat. Then bend your knees quite a bit. Place your hands behind the feet with your fingers facing towards your heels. Nice, and then bend the knees as much as you can. So you're kind of sitting on your upper arms. It's again a bit like chaturanga, but now the hands are between the legs. Nice. Now here, try to keep your weight a bit forward, so to wiggle your feet closer together. This is going to clamp your legs around your arms. Maybe you can cross the legs, and maybe you can hover the feet above the mat. Nice. Now from here, if you can straighten the legs, then please do that, especially if you can make it look elegant. For me, that doesn't really work great. And then the elegant way is just to crash on your bum and shed a little tear from pure exhaustion. Well done. And let's end with a spinal twist. So bring your left heel under. So left heel to right hip. Step the right foot over. Wrap your elbow around and the right hand behind you, or you can also have elbow outside your knee. I'll leave it up to you. So we're coming down to planet Earth. Done plenty of pretty challenging poses, preparing for lift off and maybe actually lifting off, or at least finding a really good challenge preparing our body for these really challenging poses. Good. And then slowly release. Swap the legs. Right heel to left buttock, left foot over. I like to wrap that elbow over the knee, but you can also bring the elbow outside your knee. And then descend the sit bones. You want to try and feel both the left and the right side grounded on the mat. For me, the side that I'm twisting towards is always a bit lighter. So I have to do an extra effort to descend that sit bone into the mat. Good. And then let's end with a nice grounded pose. Your right knee is already forward, so we may as well start with that side. You can sit towards that right thigh and swing the left leg back for pigeon pose. Now walk the left leg extra far back, and hopefully your hips feel nice and open. We've done quite a bit of hip related movements. And just place the elbows down. Pull the right hip back and let it be heavy. Lengthen the chest forward. If you prefer to rest your head on the hands, that's also fine. Or if you want to do any other variations, that's fine. Just take a moment wherever you are to feel the ground underneath you. You've made a safe landing after your excursions with the lifting off. You've come back with a new experience, what it was like in your journey, new yoga pose. There's things that came automatically that you could quite easily do. And then there's other poses that might feel quite new or out of your reach or sometimes impossible. And the trick is not to force anything or to wish you had a different body in any way, but just to keep chipping away, to return to your mat, try something new, challenge yourself in the nicest way possible, stay within the capacities and the signals of your body, but keep enlarging that set of tools that you develop, the range that your body can handle, your strength, not just physical strength, but also mental and emotional. That's actually going to serve as more than any yoga pose in the real world. Good. And then come back up, swap legs, left knee forward, right leg slide it to the back of the mat as far as it goes. And then ground everything down, maybe elbows, maybe forehead on the hands. Lengthen, keep lengthening the left hip back and the spine forward and soften. Try to let go of all these efforts. There's just no way to do an arm balance and not feel quite challenged. It's gonna shorten your breath. It's gonna make you feel a little bit stressed and challenged, but in a nice way. And it also has this incredible way of focusing your mind on what you're doing at the moment. It's quite impossible to do one of these arm balances and think of, you know, the emails you still have to answer or what you're gonna have for dinner. Yes, we'll treat this as our Shavasana. But if I were you and you had a bit more time, then I would add a few more minutes lying on your back. So if that's you, you can just sit to the left, swing that right leg around, lie down on your back and stay for as long as you have time for. If it's time to move on, you only set aside 45 minutes for your practice, then we're right up against that time limit. So in that case, we can say goodbye now. Bring your hands together at the heart center. Take a moment to give gratitude for what your body is capable of, for having the opportunity to do this practice and learn from all these ancient masters that came before us. Touch your hands to your forehead, to your heart, and bow to yourself on the mat. Yogis, this was really fun. Thank you so much for practicing. I hope you learned a few new tools or tricks or tips to get started with these arm balances or to increase your repertoire. As always, well done for trying something new and for practicing together. And namaste to everybody. See you here soon.